Hey guys, what's going on? This is Tom and another version of Tom Talks from the Strength Agenda. This topic I got asked last week on one of my live streams, and I wanted to repeat some of my answers and add to it simply because I feel like it is a very important topic that people need to wake up and pay attention to. And it essentially talks about kids and training, and what is the right way to implement, the lifts or training in general when it comes to kids. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a PE teacher at our local Catholic grade school. I see this a lot with the athletes there, and it is very disheartening. I read an article the other day that pretty much was talking about a kid who was 16 years old. He was getting Tommy John surgery. For those of you who don't know, Tommy John surgery is it's a very I wouldn't say popular, but it happens a lot with baseball pitchers. It's essentially when you blow out your tendon in your elbow, and you got to get it replaced. It takes like a year to recover. It's a very traumatic surgery. It's not good when you get it, and for somebody to get it at 16 years old is just a darn shame. There's no need for that. And pretty much the reason the kid was getting it at 16 years old is because he was doing fall ball, he was doing summer ball, he was doing winter pitching practices, and then he was doing his regular high school baseball season and junior high seasons and all that stuff year round, and he was pitching, and he had been doing this since he was 10 years old. So you do the math there, 10 to 16. He was doing 6 years straight of nothing but pitching. He did not do any strength and conditioning work. He never saw a physical therapist to do any prehab type stuff. Never did any sort of strength work in general to make sure his elbow and his shoulder were working properly. Just kept throwing. And I understand now, before any of you get crazy on me, I understand now that in baseball and other sports, like, they have things like pitch counts in place at younger levels. Like, I get that now. But there was this time where that wasn't there, and now kids are starting to get hurt because of it. The same goes for weightlifting. I get asked all the time about CJ Cummings, Harrison Morris, Haley Reichart, all these young, good lifters we have in USA weightlifting. They say, how long do you think they're going to last? Those guys in particular, I think they're going to last a while. They have good coaches that brought them up the right way. They didn't just throw them to the wolves. They didn't just push the intensity all the time. They didn't just, just keep adding weight to the bar and adding weight to the bar and adding weight to the bar until, they broke. There are a lot of really good junior lifters that you saw in the 2000s and the 90s and all that you never heard of once they got to the senior level. I'm not going to name names. That's not what this is about. We're talking about the current situation. And so when it comes to weightlifting, when it comes to kids, there are three main things that I feel like you need to focus on with building up the proper athlete. And I think that's one, GPP. Have them do as much as possible in every sport, every activity. Don't limit them. Don't specialize. I don't understand why parents think it's a good idea to specialize their kids starting at 8, 9, 10 years old in one sport or one activity. You're going to create a movement pattern that is efficient for that sport, but when it comes to other things and daily life, they are not going to be efficient movers. So don't do that. Don't specify. Broaden their horizons. Get them exposed to as many things as possible. Let them have some fun. They are kids after all. When it comes to weightlifting specific, they need a ton of reps. Correct reps though. That's one thing I see is I'll see people posting videos of kids moving and stuff like that, and yes, their movement isn't going to be perfect. They're just learning. They barely know how to do a box jump or to run properly, let alone throw a complex movement at the snatch or the clean at them. So but get a ton of quality reps in. Make sure they are doing the movement right. Make sure the weight is light when they are doing it, and just make sure that if you do start adding weight to it, it is very progressive, very incremental. You're not just going 5 kilo jumps. You're doing 1 kilo jumps, 2 kilo jumps. Nothing crazy, because again, we don't want these kids getting hurt. We want them to enjoy what they're doing. We want them to come back and keep on being competitive. And eventually, who knows, we might have a whole entire feeder system of young lifters in USA weightlifting that are just chomping at the bit to take somebody's place on the senior international level. We don't know, but it looks like we're heading that way, and it's because we have more and more qualified, educated coaches building these kids up the right way. So if you are working with kids, or you want to work with kids, you want to build the next CJ Cummings, that is my advice. Don't force them into one little niche. Let them try different things. Let them, do all sorts of different movements. Don't don't corner them. Let them be kids, because otherwise the result is going to be, not so great. Another really good program, and I'm going to say it, and people are probably going to roll their eyes or whatever, but CrossFit Kids. If you can find a CrossFit that is a really good CrossFit Kids program, sign them up for it. There's so many different movements that are implemented in there, and my experience with a lot of CrossFit Kids program is if you have somebody that knows what they're doing, your kids are going to learn to be good movers. Get them in that program. That's a great way for them to A, burn off some energy, and B, be exposed to all sorts of different movements. So there you go. Try that out too. Some people might not want that because of the evil C word. Whatever. Just throwing options out at you here. And then going back to the specifying thing, I really hate seeing kids being specified too early in a sport. And the reason for that is, burnout. Kid is going to go to resent the sport, resent their parents, resent their coaches, and they're not going to want to do it when they're older. They're going to hate everything about it. So we don't want to increase that burnout or create burnout. The body's going to start breaking down sooner rather than later. There's an article coming out from WGN in our local news about millennials and having major surgeries early on, earlier on than normal, and kind of asking the cause. And it's just, people push too hard too young, in my opinion, myself included. I wish I knew, back then what I know now. I probably wouldn't be half as injured as I feel on most days. And then the injury thing, it's part of the game, don't get me wrong, but you should not be 15, 16 years old having major injuries. Yeah, you should have little bumps, bruises here and there, but you should not be having you should not have more than a couple surgeries under your belt by the age 15, 16. So don't specify, focus on that. And then, it's really a touchy subject for me, because I see kids with concussions come into school. I see, I hear about kids, having surgery on this and that, and it's really hard because you don't know where to draw the line. So my advice to you, if you are working with kids, let them be kids, let them play, let them have fun. Expand their horizon, expand their scope of what is sport. Let them try different things, introduce them to different movements that may not be part of your training, but they're going to want to keep coming back and keep doing it. The minute a kid is dragging his feet through the door, you've already lost that battle. So keep them engaged, allow them to have fun, but make sure that whatever sport they are working on, especially if it's weightlifting, you are building them up correctly. Otherwise, bad news bears. So please, 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 please let them be kids. It's not their job. It's not their job yet. They are not professionals in whatever sport they are doing. So please let them be kids. If you guys have any other questions or comments, find us on Facebook, Instagram, comment below. I love doing these. We love getting all the feedback from you guys on what you guys want to hear about and what you don't want to hear about. So until next time, take care.